hour. I'm your anchor, Caleb Cohart. To my left is my co-anchor.
Margarita Rodriguez, our Gia
And
Cohart.
let's take it one time around the room. Who else is here with us tonight?
It's
Jordan
great to be
Eric.
with you this evening. Okay, Jordan,
No,
take
guys,
it away.
one at a time. One at a time, not all at once. Let's go in alphabetical order if we can, by first name.
C-D-E-F-G-H-N-G.
Absolutely,
Hey,
Jordan. So,
Jordan, here, ready to go.
Clearly.
Let's go with Jordan first.
I already introduced myself.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go to Mark then.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Mark, and I'm here with Sports and Culture, and it's good to be with you on this fine Wednesday evening.
And ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, a new addition to the broadcast team coming to you live from the east side of Colorado Springs, Mrs. Sarah Joya. Introduce yourself, Sarah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Joya, and I may or may not be joined by my 17-month-old daughter, who is a mess.
Oh, all right.
Fantastic. And speaking of messy daughters, this is a segment new this week that we'd like to introduce called Getting to Know Sarah. First up, a hot spot with Jordan and Sarah. Getting to know Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. How you doing?
You know, I'm great, Jordan. This is just living the life.
Fantastic. Well, we want to get to know you here. We want our audience member to get to know you as well. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, man. Well, I was born in October of '89.
Fantastic. What is it that makes you unique?
It makes me unique. That I play the ukulele, but actually have a real job too.
Oh, that's really interesting. So why do you want to work here?
Why do I want to work here?
Yes.
Oh, well, I mean, I've always just really loved the opportunity to do a 20-minute news show in an hour, and I'm really excited about that possibility.
Yeah. So what really interested you about this position?
The position is interesting to me because Wednesday nights are wide open, and this said exclusively a Wednesday night gig, and no other skills were needed.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? With a 6-year-old daughter.
Fantastic. Well, Sarah, welcome aboard. Caleb and Margie, back to you.
Thanks so much, Jordan. Inquisitive as always. And speaking of inquisitive, I think it's time to visit my favorite weatherman and yours, meteorologist Jordan Eric.
Hey, thanks, guys. We've got a lot of weather going on outside, and we're going to check on that 7-day forecast and let you know if it's going to be hot or cold right after this word from our sponsor.
I'd pretty much given up. The clock was ticking, and I couldn't find anybody to be my baby daddy. But thanks to E. Willing, I got someone to put a baby in my belly.
I'd always had a hard time, finding a date to the prom. And yeah, I know I'm in my mid-20s, but thanks to E. Willing, I finally found someone who's going to let me live that dream of going to prom with a girl.
I was just looking for a girl.
I mean, hair was a plus, but obviously not a requirement.
Thanks
E. Willing.
At ewilling.com, we don't waste your time with 47 questions or levels of compatibility. No, we're about bringing people together. At ewilling.com, we only have one question. Are you willing?
I got someone to put a baby in my belly.
Thanks, E. Willing.
Thanks, E. Willing.
Find out if you're willing today at ewilling.com.
Well, I mean, legally, we're not allowed to be in the same room.
All right.
Welcome back to the Weekly RIPort.
I tell you what, when you are desperate, there is a place for everybody.
For everybody.
Hey, and speaking of desperation, Margarita, I know what time it is. Do you know what time it is?
I think it's time for a new segment, The Sports Report with Mark.
Well, thanks so much. Ladies and gentlemen, the sporting world has been rocked recently, and it seems that there's not nearly enough sports on for everybody to enjoy. So I'm here to give you not a report on the sports that were happening. I'm here to tell you how you can bring a little sport into your life. Option number 1. How many boxing fans do I have out there in the audience? I can't see you, but I'm going to assume there's many. Well, boxing hasn't quite been the same recently, so what I've started doing is I've started sneaking into my neighbor's house and causing domestic strife. That's right, late at night I'll move into the house and I'll make some sort of mess, and then I'll make it look like the husband left that mess there. Sometimes I'll leave the car unlocked for them, or I'll even take air out of the tires. Ultimately, the goal here is to try to start as much domestic strife as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't gotten that coveted knockout punch yet, but I can tell you what, the conversation is getting really loud down there. So if you love sports, and if you love boxing, and if you don't mind hearing things get a little violent and calling the cops on your neighbors, I recommend domestic strife. It's the latest sport, and it's going to be all the rage. Back to you all.
Whoops. Remind me if Mark moves into the neighborhood. Hey, speaking of domestic strife, there's a segment that's a favorite of mine, and I know it's a favorite of yours out there. It's when meteorologist Jordan attempts to fail at breaking world records. Jordan,
Hey,
let's see you attempt to fail another world record.
thanks very much, guys. I am meteorologist Jordan, and I am going to attempt to fail at breaking world records. Today, I have decided that I am going to take on the world record of the most yogurt eaten in a minute by the spoonful.
Ooh, my stomach hurts already.
Guesses, right? Any guesses as to how much yogurt somebody has eaten in a minute?
I'm
More
gonna
than
go
anybody
with
else.
3. I'm going to go with 3 units.
3 units. You're actually not that far off, Caleb. It is 3.71 pounds of yogurt in a minute.
Oh,
That
You know,
is
pounds in
disgusting.
this case.
Yes.
That's a lot of yogurt.
So what I've got here is I have 2 tubs of 2 pounds
God.
each yogurt. I've gone with Dannon Light and Fit because I figured if I'm going to eat this much yogurt, I better watch my calorie intake.
Well, I hope you remembered the green
So-
bean juice. We all know how that
Yeah.
went a couple of weeks ago.
All right, so what I'm going to need is one of you to give me a 1-minute timer, and this is a lot of yogurt that is about to go into
Wait,
my
Jordan,
belly.
how
Jordan, I'm
many
on it.
pounds? how
1
many
minute whenever you're
pounds
ready.
Is that tub of yogurt?
This is 2 pounds. This is another 2 pounds. So in order for me to achieve this world record, I'm going to need to eat all of this tub and probably down to about here-ish on this tub, all within 60 seconds. So,
All right, let's see.
Margarita, who's got my time here?
I've got the timer, and I have medical personnel standing by.
All right.
In 3,
One sec.
2, 1, go.
Ooh.
Riveting television, not disgusting in the least.
He's at least of an eighth away through the first tub.
Now, I wonder, is this the fruit at the bottom type or regular? Jordan can't answer, even though
Regular.
he's trying. Something fell out of his ear.
Oh, I
He's
think
quite
it's regular.
intense.
Was that out of his ear or out of his mouth? We'll never
I
know.
hope ear. I'm saying.
Oh my God, you guys are getting brain freeze. I didn't think I get brain freeze.
Wow.
Right now, at this moment, as a lactose intolerant man, I'm in pain.
This is an unexpected turn of events.
I can see by the look on Mark's face, he's having recalls to that green bean juice he had a few weeks ago when he
was
threw
a
up in
terrible
his
time.
mouth.
Oh my God, it hurts.
Man, throw up. That's what would happen if I had that much yogurt right now.
15 seconds to go, Jordan.
Oh my God,
And
seriously?
nowhere
You're kidding me?
near the end.
He's continuing to plow through that yogurt.
But it's a good thing he's got a beard. That way it can catch all the dregs and we can see it.
Ah.
We've even lost
3,
Mark at this
2,
point.
1, and time.
Oh, congratulations, Jordan, on failing yet another world record attempt.
Paramedics are on their
Okay.
way.
Thanks.
It's
Back to you
times
guys.
like this that we would kick over to a presentation brought to us by Mark. But Mark, we lost, and now he's logging back in. Mark, I noticed you went away during that, a little one-on-one back and forth. Looking at your face, I feel like you're having recalls to your last lockdown luncheon with Mark segment.
You know, that was a really tough time for me, everybody. I had no idea how potent the gag reflex was. That's not something that I like to admit I have much experience with, and watching Jordan shovel down yogurt gave me a bit of a flashback.
Well, now you
Thanks,
have things
Jordan.
to talk about.
Wow.
Something in common.
Well, speaking of inaudible moans, Mark, I believe it's time for a new panel discussion.
Oh, absolutely. Today's panel discussion is going to be one that should really help people get through tough times. And I was wondering if two people could show me how to get through tough times together.
Oh.
So Caleb, Margarita, this presentation is for you.
Oh, fantastic.
All right, let's just pull it up and get ready.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for coming to what I would like to consider the expert of getting through tough times together, Margarita, and me. So we're going to give you a little presentation today on gratitude. So first off, what is gratitude, Margarita?
Well, gratitude is a series of things that need to be taken into consideration. Next. Most importantly, friends. Friends are the first things first. When you wake up in the morning, what are you thinking about? The turmoil in which we live? The fact that you haven't been out of your house in over a year, even though other people have?
No, you're thinking about logging into HBO Max to watch Friends from the beginning.
And I have. Ross is a jerk. Next. You shouldn't really focus on watching Friends. And that's the point, my friends. That Friends first should be out of your mind. When you wake up in the morning, you should be thinking of other things. Jordan, question?
What type of things should I be thinking about?
Caleb?
Well, I like to think about when I first wake up, oh, how did I get here? No, wait, I'm in the right bed.
Next.
All right. Now, we've all learned that we don't need friends, but why do we need gratitude? I'm about to tell you. Next. So that you don't whore yourself out. Ladies and gentlemen, true story. I live on East Colfax, and 100 feet from my door is one of the most active prostitution rings I have seen in my entire life. I've thought about joining that prostitution ring, but I haven't walked down there for two good reasons. One, I don't want to be killed, and two, I've got gratitude, so I don't have to whore myself out.
Next. The 4 steps to gratitude. Now, if you haven't paid attention up to this point, it's time to start. Because in order to obtain true gratitude, you must follow these 4 steps. Next.
The first step, why? Why do you throw your baby in the air? Well, it could kill your baby, but if your baby doesn't die, your baby's going to have gratitude. Just ask Sarah, she's got a baby, and that baby has gratitude. Next.
E. Hey, everybody has to throw their baby in the air, right? Especially Italian babies, like Sarah's baby. If you're not throwing your baby in the air, what are you doing?
Next. You are E. You're throwing your baby so high that it's being decapitated by the crop factor. This is a technical term, but also literal, in the fact that if you throw your baby high enough and its head isn't captured in the photo, was your baby's head ever really there? Next.
T. To the moon with you, baby. Hope that you've flown high and can see the sky. Because when you're willing to let your baby go into the air, then you've got gratitude.
That's not all you've got. You've got yeet. And yeet is actually Latin for gratitude. Next. Okay, now you have to yeet the baby. And by yeet the baby, not only does it mean gratitude, it means that you want to get that flick of the wrist right at the end. So you get the perfect backspin on the baby. Thus, when it hits the rim, it will fall into the goal and not bounce around, and you'll miss the shot.
Next. Don't stop. Be yeeting all the time. If you're going to the store with your mask on, be yeeting. If in that store somebody doesn't follow the guidelines with the arrow that is clearly marked on the floor, you tell them where to go. Literally, that's yeeting, and that's gratitude. And if you see a baby in the supermarket, you best make sure that baby is going in the right direction. That is yeeting, and that is gratitude.
Next. Finally, let's take some statistics into account. And I'm going to use some enunciation at the same time. All right. Statistical analysis of how to grit. First of all, men give a lot more than anybody gives them credit for. They take a lot less than people give them credit for. And the rest of the time, they're doing other things. Inversely, women who say that they're more charitable actually take a lot more than they ever got credit from. Other men, even more charitable with their time. And finally, women, what the fuck are they doing in the bathroom that long?
Next. So, my friends, especially the ones who do the most, do less, because yeet also means less. And when you're gratituding and you're yeeting, you don't have to do as much. Next.
Consider the mud person who runs in the mud thing, which I don't remember, but I think it has something to do with an Iron Man-y thing. Pull your bicep. Next. 9%. Only engage your bicep 9%. And finally, that crotch has got to be felt. Yeet that crotch. 90%. If you're not yeeting your crotch 90%, you're crotching wrong, baby.
Next. Lastly, that stick would be up your ass if you weren't yeeting. That 90% could be a crotch, sure, or an ass, or a bicep.
It's all in the middle.
It's all in the middle, and that's where the stick is. Next.
As The Rock says in his famous quote, which I would like to leave you with now, can you smell what the yeet is cooking? Oh, one more thing from Margarita.
One more thing. I really do want to leave you with this Venn diagram. If second grade taught us anything, it's that when you put two circles together, you can accomplish anything. Grit is very vital to yeeting, doing less, and yet caring more. Next. Attitude. If you have grit, sometimes you don't have attitude, and that's okay. But next, throw that fucking baby.
Throw that fucking baby. Thank you.
Wow. Caleb,
been
Margarita,
gratitude.
Insightful as always. Thank you so much for teaching us how to get through
Hey.
these tough times.
If anybody can speak to how you're to raise your children, it's a couple with absolutely no children. I think Sarah will attest to that. Speaking of which, it's time for a favorite brand new segment of mine and yours, Getting to Know Sarah. In the hot seat right now, Caleb and Margarita interview Sarah.
So, Sarah, it's your first time on the show. How are you feeling?
I am feeling so excited to be here. Glad to not be doing something different right now.
Fantastic. Exciting. What's that feel like?
it feels like a bubbling in your stomach that is like coming up and just right below the palate, like about to out, like, ooh.
Seems like you're describing what I was anticipating Jordan's face to look like after eating all that yogurt. Is that what excitement feels like to you?
That is very much what excitement feels like to me. I think that the critical error that Jordan made was not warming the yogurt prior to eating it. I think he would have felt a lot more excitement had he warmed that yogurt.
Speaking of warm yogurt, what's that feel like?
Warm yogurt, ooh, that feels like a.
Remarkable, Sarah. You're a remarkable woman.
Thanks.
One more question about women, actually, from me.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
About women?
Yeah.
Ah.
My thoughts exactly, Sarah.
Fantastic. Well, you heard it here first. Sarah thinks about women. And that's been Getting to Know Sarah, interviewed by Caleb and Margarita. And now, hey guys, it's time for my favorite segment and Gabby's favorite segment, meteorologist Jordan Eric with the weather.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We have got some weather happening. So let's take a look at what is going to go down on our 7-day forecast.
You keep eating that,
rain?
I know what's going to come up on that 7-day forecast.
Is it going to snow? Who knows? We'll check it out right after this break.
All right, and we are back for a brand new favorite segment of ours. That's right, it's the Sport Report with Mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a simple one. Do you miss comparing the behemoths of this world and strongman competitions? People getting together to see who's the biggest, who's the strongest, who's the most flexible? Well, in this sport report, I'd like to give you a fun little idea that I've been enjoying lately of finding out who is the biggest and most flexible asshole in the world. What I've been doing is eating a lot of fiber, because what I'm going for is the biggest poop possible. With these huge poops, I'm not just stopping there. No. Every time I get a real monster, I snap a photo of it. At that point, my job is almost halfway complete, because then I text that photo to 5 random numbers. The point of this sport is to compete with other friends. Every week, you send one poo pic out to 5 random numbers. The person who gets the most responses is automatically the champion. Ladies and gentlemen, I have yet to report that no one has texted back congratulating me on the size of my poops. However, my asshole has been ripped and stretched in ways that I did not think were possible. The other weekend, I could have sworn that a Chipotle burrito came out of me. But yet, no response. So yet I try, and try I will. I encourage you to find at least 2 to 5 other friends who you can send and challenge each other with the poo pick sport. And that is how you keep yourself busy and well lubricated during these trying times. And that's the Sport Report.
Fantastic. A class act as always. Mark
Creative.
Rantle, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Well, speaking of Mark Rantle, I don't know if you know this, Margarita, but a few weeks ago we had a bit of a casualty here on the Weekly Report. Mark ingested a lot of confectionery concoctions that led him to actually vomit in his mouth, live web streamed across the world.
Whoa, no way. That really happened?
Jordan,
That
stop eating the
really
yogurt. Stop!
happened. So we've had to take Mark off of the lockdown luncheon's desk, which has been a tragedy for all of us. But thank God to those of us that actually like to eat digestible food. We have a brand new lockdown luncheon reporter. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, this week, Sarah Joya presents Lockdown Luncheons with Sarah and Gabby.
Yeah, so this week on Lockdown Luncheons, I think, that's going to be a great segment. Thank you. I think we're going to go ahead. Okay. We're going to go ahead and make something really great for luncheon. Today. What you're going to need for this kind of thing is you're actually going to need some water and some pasta. It doesn't really matter what kind of pasta, as long as you can boil it on a stove. Okay. Then once you get that pasta, what you're going to do next is once you've boiled it and once you've drained it, that usually takes about 10 minutes. And you're going to add some butter and probably some casualty water. You know what? I think we should just order pizza tonight. We're going to go ahead and just order pizza for dinner tonight, and we're going to stick with that. So thanks so much, Caleb. Thanks so much, Margarita. That's been the Lockdown Luncheon with Gabriella Marie and Sarah. Gabby, wave. And we're going to have pizza and not worry about the mess of cooking. Thank you.
Fantastic. Pizza always works.
Mother's got to do what a mother's got to do. Speaking of mothers, Jordan, you've got a mother and you have a segment. So there you go.
I do have both of those. And this segment that I'm going to do is an old favorite of mine. I'm going to review movie reviews of movies that I have no intention of seeing. I'm gonna review some movie reviews of movies I have no intention of seeing. All right, the movie reviews that I'm going to be reviewing today come from the 2006 Adam Sandler classic Click. There we go. There's Click. It's Adam Sandler and a remote control that I am assuming controls the entire world. He can fast forward through all the boring parts, which is exactly the only way I can envision myself ever seeing this movie. And thanks to the magic of DVR, I can now actually do that if I wanted to. I'm still not going to watch this movie, even if I can just fast forward all the way to the credits. Anyways, this movie's got a 66 audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So let's see what some of those users have to say. All right. First up, we have an anonymous user who gives it 5 stars, saying, I don't care what the ratings say. This is my favorite movie of all time. It's emotional, funny, and dark. This is by far my favorite Adam Sandler movie. All right, well, fantastic review, but you're not even proud enough about it to give it a fake name under your review? I mean, I'm going to stand by the fact that I think Monty Python and the Holy Grail is the best movie ever made, and I will take that till the day I die. I will proudly wear that badge all over. If this is your favorite movie, own that son of a bitch. That is 1 star for your 5-star review. Let's move on to Kenton V, who gives this 2.5 stars, saying, yet another Adam Sandler comedy that doesn't quite make you want to see it again. A trope that has been down too many times and done way better. Well, that's a really great 2.5-star review. This movie is average, blah, meh. In fact, Rotten Tomatoes gives a definition of 2.5 stars as meh. So I really couldn't agree with your assessment of this movie anymore. Well done, Kenton. Next up, we have Stuart R., whose avatar broke my browser. He gives this 1.5 stars, saying, I give Click some props. Adam Sandler's performance and the emotional touch on this film actually do it some justice, but we still have slim laughs and some weak writing and just another comedy with a runtime it may not deserve. 3.2 out of 10. Wow. I really love that you give this a 3.2 out of 10. It translates very well with 1.5 star rating. So I'm assuming that that extra 0.2 that you would give it is where the emotional comment comes from. So very good, very accurate, exactly what I'm looking for in a 1.5 star description. Next up, another blank one, 3 stars. Not gonna lie, I don't really remember a ton, so don't take this review to heart. I just know I've seen it, and it was, and I thought it, I just know I've seen it, and though it was average, and though it was average, not that you thought it was average. Well, I don't know. Don't take this assessment of your review to heart, but I'm probably not going to remember that, blank man. All right. Moving on, we've got Dave who gives us 2.5 stars. Very average review set here that we've got. You can understand this movie and even enjoy it. I hope so. Only once though. Okay, fair. Adam Sandler has this remote control which can control everything and everyone in his life, and my remote needs batteries every now and then. Solid, Dave. Enjoy it once. I couldn't agree more. But what do you mean your remote needs batteries? Everybody's remotes need batteries from time to time, unless you still got one of the ones that are actually like corded and hook up to your TV. Thanks. Let's move on. Court B says Sandler is almost synonymous with the average Joe sticking it to the man comedy flicks. He tries to do something different here, which is almost a dramatic role with character growth a la a retelling of The Christmas Carol. It isn't horrible, but drama really isn't Sandler's thing. Has he ever heard of a movie called Uncut Gems? Since this came out in March of 2020, I'm guessing he should have by now. Anyway, there's an interesting premise and a few funny scenes, but the meat of this film isn't that filling. Of course, like any Sandler flick, there are some images you won't be able to forget. Stuffed duck skin flap. Okay, I really hated this review up until the very end of it. Stuffed duck skin flap? My imagination is starting to run wild here. I can only imagine. I can't wait to see this movie now just for those two pieces. In fact, as soon as we're done here, I'm going to find it and I'm going to skip ahead on my remote to those exact pieces of the movie just to see those. All right. I paired that review with Cody R here, who gives this 5 stars, saying, I don't know what the movie critics are smoking. This film is fantastic. At no point does it feel like a rehashing of It's a Wonderful Life. All right, now I'm confused here. Is it A Wonderful Life or is it A Christmas Carol? I really don't know. I think these guys have their shit all confused. Although, of course, it follows a similar plot structure. The balance between laughs and drama is carefully maintained throughout. This movie brings me to tears every time I watch it. It isn't just about being thankful for your life. It's about being thankful for each moment, living each day fully aware, fully alive, outstanding. Okay, so if it follows the same plot and it's about being thankful for your life and each moment, that kind of sounds a hell of a lot like Wonderful Life to me. I don't know about you. Hasheen says 5 stars, really good movie, funny and emotional, highly recommend. Watch them. Okay, I really got to know what happened here. Did Hashim have a stroke? Is this Kafifi all over again? Was it so good that he lost his mind? I need details here. I am in suspense. What happened with this 5-star review that blew this guy's mind? Moving on, Brian F. 1 star, only because there isn't a 0 star. I hate to tell you this, Brian, but there is actually a 1/2 star that you could have had here. That's a fail. And finally, Hugh M. Far and away the worst movie I've ever seen. 5 stars. That's it for that. I just reviewed some movie reviews of movies I have no intention of seeing. Back to you guys.
Oh, insightful as always, Jordan, with an educational twist, and I appreciate that. Speaking of an educational twist, we're about to get a lovely education on the finer art of music with our very own Caleb Cohart.
That's right. A lot of you at home have been saying, man, you guys have so much music in your shows. I sure wish I could be a successful musician. Well, if you've been playing along at home, you know that 2 shows ago, I taught you how to play a C chord. And of course, on our last live show, I taught you how to play the tambourine. So I've heard a lot of feedback over the last few weeks while we've been off the air saying, that's great, Caleb. Now I know how to play a chord. and I know how to play a tambourine. But how do I take my band to that next level? That thing that's really going to let me play the big stadiums? Well, tonight I introduce you to the concept of the backup singer. That's right. You just need an attractive lady standing behind you singing a note. We'll illustrate. Margarita, a note, please. And that's a backup singer. Ladies and gentlemen, you're ready to rock the world. And this has been Caleb Teaches You Music.
Caleb, I couldn't be more pleased with my musical knowledge thanks to you.
Hey, no problem.
I think I'll start a band.
And you'll succeed.
Hey, it's about time for us to get to know our newest member of the report, Miss Sarah Joya. And Mark, I hear you have some insightful questions.
I absolutely do. Sarah, your expertise on these issues is exactly what I want to hear right now. And I'm just curious, would you say that $50 is a little excessive for a hand job from a girl that you would say is at best a 3?
Wait, is she paying you or are you paying her?
Oh, Sarah, what a crazy world you think that men live in. I'm definitely paying her.
Oh, yeah, that's way too much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you suddenly had a appearance of some red spots down in the genital region after enjoying a night with someone who you didn't know that well, what would you do?
Go immediately to the doctor.
Okay. Sarah, if that doctor says that there's nothing he can do about it, what would you do next?
Find another doctor.
Interesting.
Something that can be done about that.
Got it. Sarah, if the pain in that region becomes almost unbearable, can you think of any possible solutions of just reducing the itching and burning?
Go to a doctor. If it's
excellent.
unbearable pain, Mark, you got to go to like ER.
Oh, Sarah, this is not about me. I'm just curious what you would do.
Seriously, you need to go to the ER right now. Do you have a neighbor who can drive you, or should I call the paramedics to come?
No, Sarah, this isn't about me. It's not about me at all.
I'm getting really concerned about you, Mark. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and call the paramedics and have them come and do a wellness checkup on you.
Sarah, they don't come to my house anymore. They said there were too many calls coming from it, so they don't come anymore. And it's not. I'm just asking general questions so that we can get to know you, Sarah. That's what this is about.
Okay.
Finally, if it burns when you pee, what would you do?
Go to the doctor.
Got it. Wow. Sarah, thank you so very much. It's really nice to get to know you.
Thanks, Mark. I'm glad to provide help, and I'm gonna go ahead and come check you out of your apartment.
I don't think you want to see what's happening over here. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
So worried. Okay.
Well, thank you once again, Sarah, for divulging so much about yourself. I feel like I know you much, much better. Hey, but now it's time to shift gears to our favorite meteorologist and yours, Jordan Eric.
All right, thanks, guys. There is a lot of sunshine out there. Do you have any idea how long it's going to stick around? Stick around after the break, and you'll find out.
All right, fantastic. And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is probably time for my favorite brand new segment, the Sport Report with Mark.
Mm. Thanks, Caleb. Have you ever wondered how much money you can pick up off of the ground? I know that I do. And so my next sport that I'm giving you is a fun little option. You see, I hate to admit it, but even with COVID, there are still homeless people out on the streets. And so now what I've started doing is I've gotten rolls of quarters, and I've tried to see how long can I drop single quarters until a homeless person starts throwing them at me. It's a ton of fun. Right now, my record is 50 feet. My minimum was 1 quarter. The man specifically said, "Fuck you. Do you think a quarter's gonna help me at all?" And he threw it at me immediately. It's a ton of fun. It's a lot of disrespect, but I'm not a very good person. So if you're looking for a brand new sport and have a low moral standard, I cannot recommend highly enough quarters for homeless people. And that's the Sport Report. Back to you, Caleb.
Wow,
Yes.
you truly are a tragic subject.
That's something with no class. That's something that they would do.
All right. Well, hey, some of you might think that's wrong. Some of you might think that's right. And that brings us to my favorite segment, Convince Me I'm Wrong with Caleb. As you all know, Convince Me I'm Wrong with Caleb works by me stating a fact, and the rest of the members of the Weekly Report try to convince me I'm wrong with logical arguments, where I will rebut their arguments. And so far to date, only one argument has ended in a tie, all the others with me winning, largely because I don't listen to logic. Tonight's Convince Me I'm Wrong is only for the cultural elite members of the audience, where I'm going to reference 2 films with the word stranger in their title. That's right. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides and Stranger Things. I argue that Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tide did the upside down better than Stranger Things because in Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tide, they were actually upside down. Convince me I'm wrong. Pirates of the Caribbean did the upside down better than Stranger Things.
Caleb, I'm immediately going to accuse you of committing an ambiguity fallacy. Really, what you're trying to do right now is convince us that the orientation of the camera is what makes an upside down better. But what I'd like to tell you is that the orientation that you took in watching the film could have easily just created the same effect. If you turned your head upside down to watch Stranger Things every time they went into the upside down, not only would you achieve this, for some reason, important element, you would have gotten a rush of blood to the head, causing you to experience more emotion in what was a much better story in Stranger Things. Caleb, you are wrong because all you had to do was turn around your own goddamn head.
Ooh, well, I'm going to rebut that with a couple of points. First off, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tide had the dreamluscious Keira Knightley in it, which of course made it a lot better. And the dreamboat Orlando Bloom, which if I was ever going to slip in between a sandwich of British excellence, it would be Keira and Orlando. Second of all, if Netflix has taught us anything in this planet, it's that I don't have to work for my entertainment, especially my mediocre, not quite up to par entertainment is constantly broadcast by Netflix. Therefore, having to actually do calisthenics by exerting myself to go upside down to enjoy a simple gimmick is not how I like to watch my entertainment. Therefore, I hold strong with the fact that Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tide did the upside down better than Netflix's Stranger Things. Next argument.
Caleb, I have an argument. Oh, Sarah, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to point out that I think that for somebody of your intellectual capacity, you're making a really valid argument. The challenge with that is that the Stranger Things upside down is a little bit more cerebral in that it actually is a reversal of the reality of the world. So it's more of a shadow world. And for somebody who actually understands the universe, that's something that makes a lot of sense and I think does really well. But you're right that if the creators of Stranger Things were just simply not catering to somebody like you when they designed and created that Upside Down.
Well, I appreciate the intellectual argument, Sarah, especially given the fact that this is the third view in front of a brand new bookcase that you've treated us to tonight. However, I will contend that it can't be that cerebral if they understand the universe, but not simple geometry. If they were going to call it the Upside Down, why? But it was about a shadow universe, why not call it the Shadow Universe? The Upside Down is a complete misnomer, and therefore I still contend Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tide did the Upside Down literally better than Stranger Things. Next argument.
My argument does have to do with literal interpretation, so it's interesting that you segued into what I want to say without even knowing it. To me, that seems that you have a sense of perception, but your argument doesn't give that away at all. See, it seems to me that all you want is to literally see the things that people are describing. If it's upside down, why don't they just turn the ship around? If you turn around, why don't you turn around? If somebody's doing a flip, why not an actual somersault? And I say nay. I say use your imagination, Caleb Cohart. Use symbolism. Use society as your guide and not literal directionality. For literal directionality can be understood by anyone and everyone. Discern yourself. Think outside of your brain.
Well, once again, I will have to rebut your argument. Given the fact that we watched the movie together and the entire time you weren't paying attention to the fact that they had to turn the ship upside down to escape the afterlife after rescuing Captain Jack Sparrow. And you have always been jealous of my relationship, my fantasy relationship with Keira Knightley. Therefore, as my wife, you are disqualified on the grounds of fantasy. Therefore, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides still did the Upside Down literally better than Netflix's Stranger Things. Final argument.
Well, Caleb, I'm going to tell you that you're wrong here. And you're wrong for a different reason than you think you are. You are wrong because I haven't seen either of these. I have no clue what you're referencing. I have no point of reference whatsoever. And therefore, this has been nothing but a spoiler-filled segment for me. And because I didn't get alerted to any spoilers being going on here today, you're a very wrong person for involving me in that, for taking away the joy of watching these events for the first time and letting me judge it for myself. There's nothing you could have done to rectify that. You are wrong, Caleb.
Jordan, I will admit that I have damaged your shallow ego by spoiling Stranger Things, which has only been out for 4 years. But I will not take credit for spoiling Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tide, which has been out for over 16 years. That movie can drive by now, so there is no spoiler alert needed for that. Therefore, I conclude tonight's segment of Convince Me I'm Wrong with Caleb with the fact that I was wrong about spoiling an old TV show for you, but I am not wrong about Keira Knightley and her beautiful ability to have done the Upside Down better than Winona Ryder. This has been Convince Me I'm Wrong with Caleb. Back to you, Jordan.
All right. Thanks, Caleb, for that thrilling segment. Now it's time for a segment that I like to call the Song of the Week. This week's song took me some real deep thought. I got to thinking about a lot of things, and then I threw all those things out the window, and I wrote this over lunch. I hope you enjoy it. It seems I've reached a certain age where things about me are starting to change. I'm showing my age. A new color within my beard, an era of life that many have feared. It's kind of weird. I knew it would happen to me someday, something that I could not keep away, less due to stress and more with DNA. My beard's turning gray. sad. The hair on my chin is starting to lose all its melanin. I'll let it begin. I'll embrace it to the core, 'cause I've been going bald since 24. Okay, a few years before. The distinguished look is here to stay. The only doubt that I have to say is, do I spell it with an E or an A? Salt and pepper mature, they say. It has the sexy allure way. I think that I am gonna be okay. My beard's turning gray. Back to you guys.
All right, fantastic. And back to you, Jordan, with our weather forecast for the next week.
Oh, hey, yeah, I'm sure that everybody is really interested in what's going to happen this weekend, and we'll find out all about that on next week's show.
All right, fantastic. Well, before we go, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for final thoughts. So let's take it once more around the horn with everybody's final thoughts. Margarita.
You got to grit and you got to yeet. Otherwise, who are you?
Mark.
Jordan, please stop eating that fucking yogurt.
Sarah, your final thoughts.
Go to the doctor.
And Jordan.
That is one tub down. Time to start on the second one.
And my final thought for the night, ladies and gentlemen, it's okay if your wife's jealous of Keira Knightley, because deep down in your heart, you know that she'd say no if you ever saw her anyway. And that's been the Weekly Report. 20 minutes of news in 1 hour. Tune in next week when we do it all again. Thank you.